is 6:06, and we're calling the town council meeting of March 27th to order. Roll call.
Nate Blake.
Wayne Peterson.
Frank Loico.
Angela Roy, and Joe Allen is going to be here in about 20 minutes. Okay, invocation. If you'll give us a moment here, dear Lord, we just thank you for this day and all the blessings within it. We just ask you to guide our thoughts, words, and needs tonight as we look at the town's welfare and the citizens' safety, and that you would help us to make wise decisions. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Wayne, would you lead pledge of allegiance?
Certainly. Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, declaration of any abstentions or conflicts?
I have none.
None.
Okay. Looking at the consent agenda, if you've had a chance to look over the minutes, they're in your packet. I did have, let's see if Bob changed it.
Bob emailed those to me day for yesterday,
Okay.
I believe.
What's that?
I think you emailed all the minutes. Yesterday, I think it was. I had a chance to go through everything.
I thought it would be important on the roll call to add that Wayne joined the council after his swearing in, because he is mentioned as seconding or a motion later, and we don't have him down as being present. Let's see, there was one other thing. Anybody else have anything? The other thing was a faux pas, and I'm not sure how to maybe correct it, but we were already on discussion items when the Silver Reef Foundation came up, and in discussing that, it appears that we took a vote, which is an action item. So I need to find out if we need to redo that, in which case we need to put it on the next agenda, or if this is sufficient.
Angela?
Yes.
Here on 7 action item, Wayne Pearson was appointed to fill a vacant council member seat on a motion by Nate Blake and seconded by Frank Loico. All voted A, and the motion passed. Wayne Peterson was later given the oath of office by Colin Corpy, notary public. Does that cover your concerns? Because
I felt that it didn't say that he actually sat with the council, so I thought
so
that was,
we want to make a note of that then.
yeah. I
That he
think it
actually
should-
sat with the council.
Yes, that was in there, you're right. Okay, was there anything else?
So,
Okay.
the Silver Foundation, that was voted on, but it was listed as a discussion item. Is that what you were asking?
Yes. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think if somebody challenged it, that it would have to be posted as a agenda item for action, rather than a discussion item.
So you think we should probably revisit that at our next meeting then?
Yeah,
For a vote?
I
For
think
action.
so.
We did,
The only reason I say that is if somebody in the community said, well, it was posted as a discussion item, you voted as it, and put it in, then then somebody else will come and say, well, if you did that, I have a discussion item, why don't we just vote on it tonight too, on that one?
As I recall, I was going to, I've got it here somewhere, the agenda from that meeting, I believe listed it as an action item.
It was there originally.
Yeah. Let's
Oh,
see.
it was?
And then
Yeah, so it shows here as a discussion item,
And
but I
then you
believe
moved-
it was an action item.
that was when I was gone, but then you moved several items down into the discussion area. And,
Yeah, because I think that's when you guys cut me off.
Wasn't this actually an action item, not a discussion item on, I wish I would have brought last week's
in the
agenda.
original agenda, it was an action item,
On the posted agenda,
yeah.
it was an action item.
But
And
then,
on then the agenda was printed out, it was listed as discussion.
and then there were two items, that one and another one were moved down to the discussion.
At the time that the agenda was being approved.
Yes, it was done by the council.
So we're kind of nebulous, so shall we just revisit it again in 2 weeks then?
I don't know, now I'm confused, so it wasn't.
It was advertised as an action item.
And then during the approval of the agenda, it was moved to a discussion item.
Oh, well then you'd have to.
Right.
At least I think it was.
It was.
Okay. I know that several things were. Okay, so, does anybody want to make a motion for the consent agenda for tonight?
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda and also the meeting minutes of March 13th, 2013 as corrected.
I'll second that.
All four?
Aye.
All opposed?
Do we need to amend that to bring back
Well, that's what happened, and so what we'll do is just
the
to
Silvery Foundation?
clarify any legal aspect to it. We will visit it again at our next
As an
meeting on April.
action
Hey,
item,
hi, Joe.
as an
Sorry.
action item then,
As an action item.
so we'll just put that as an action item on the next meeting. And revisit it.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I'm going to save the announcements until a little later, because I've got a lot of them, and maybe a lot of people didn't get the message that we were meeting at 6. So announcements, let's move it down. Say after discussion items. That means that I need another vote on the consent agenda. Sorry. Because I'm changing it.
I'll move to amend the motion I made to include that we will have the announcements after discussion items this evening, but otherwise proceed with the agenda as published.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm gonna abstain since I wasn't here last meeting.
Okay, so, no public hearings, looking at, action items. The first one, considering treasurer appointment. Several months ago, we, appointed Joe Allen as our treasurer, and, looking at some things that happened since then, it seemed like with his interest in the Silvery Foundation, that, and the Silvery Park and other parks, that maybe Joe's interest would be best served by taking over the Parks and Cemetery position. And Wayne Peterson, with his financial background, has agreed to fill the treasurer's slot. So could I have a motion to make this change?
Have you been about to speak on that?
Yeah.
Okay. I move that we appoint Wayne Peterson as treasurer for the town of Leeds,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
have Joe Allen
Overseen.
overseeing the cemeteries
Parks.
and parks.
I'll second that.
Did I miss anything there?
Nope.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So, Bob, we need to check with the bank and make sure that they have the appropriate.
Yeah, I'll have that letter by Monday.
Okay,
I've got it on my agenda in there.
okay. All right, and the second action item would be to consider changing the meeting time, moving it up to 6. Let's see. Right now, it's kind of hard to tell about our attendance, right? So, any thoughts, any discussion on this?
For a lot of working people, 6 o'clock could prove problematic. Whether it's a council member or a citizen within the community that'd like to attend the meeting. So that's the biggest challenge that I see.
Does it personally disrupt your schedule? I mean, because I'm getting input from town, from some people in town, not a lot. But personally, does it impact your?
I'm flexible and I can work around it. My tardiness tonight was simply an oversight.
I'm sorry about not specifically
Yeah.
pointing out to you.
I saw it in the agenda, it was emailed to me, I should pay closer attention to that.
How's it work for you, Frank?
For me? Oh, as long as I have gas for the later dead, it's okay.
I just think it makes it easier for the families with the younger children, because we've had quite some late nights, and to be able to be home and put your kids to bed, and, you know, not roll in at 10:30 at night, everybody's in bed and lights are out.
My only concern would be is because we have more time doesn't mean we should go longer, because I can remember we had some 5 o'clock meetings that went to 11, so 6 hours, so.
That was a killer, right?
We can start at 10 o'clock at night, make sure we're done by 11.
So I think that's the only concern, is that we need to think about trying to keep the agenda short enough that people will want to come to town council and know that they're not going to be here late.
So, how about tabling this one and looking at it after maybe a little bit more citizen input? And maybe making the decision.
Let's find out what citizens show up tonight at 7 o'clock and see if that would have been an issue to them.
Yeah.
If it would have been, if they would have known it was at 6 rather than 7. I don't think we're gonna have a full crowd tonight as it is. I mean, this may be it.
I think there's one other factor, and maybe we ought to do it like with daylight savings time, where in the regular daylight, the regular mountain
In the
time,
winter.
we meet earlier, because we're now meeting at 7 when it's summertime, because people still are doing things out in their yard, working, barbecuing, and that type of thing. So it might be better that we meet earlier in the winter, and then in the daylight savings time, we meet at 7, kind of, to try and keep the meeting short so we're not really long. Some compromise, because, I respect what my colleague's saying about getting the kids to bed, eating late, things like that. Right, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm open. I just figured, and I spoke with Bob about this a little bit too, and Bob was one person I spoke with, and he felt like in his personal situation it would be better. So I know in most cases, dealing with municipalities, they don't even go home, they leave their desks from their city positions and go right down to town hall. And their meetings usually start right around 5 or 5:30.
I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that at least one city meets at 4. And maybe that's the county commissioners.
While it's being tabled, are we going to use 6 PM as the start time for April 10th?
I think we ought to
Got one more time?
see what happens.
Everybody's okay with the last meeting?
Last meeting,
Everybody said okay. It's just that, aren't they on the first week and the third week is the meetings? This
Mhm.
one's different?
No,
This is the
no.
fourth week?
Town council is on the 2nd and the 4th Wednesday of the month. Planning commission is on the 1st.
Wow.
And
I got
currently-
too much on my table.
They feel like they have a lot to do with the zoning, so they are planning on meeting twice a month.
Right.
The 1st and the 3rd, for the next couple of months. Okay, so shall we table this decision for now and see what kind of input we get?
Well, I like Wayne's idea to just go ahead and do the 6 again and then
Yep.
just see what happens.
Okay. Do we need to vote on this, do you think?
Yeah, I'll move that we temporarily change the meeting time for town council to 6 PM.
Second, anybody?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Temporarily.
We'll see how it plays out.
All right. Moving on to discussion items. The Board of Adjustment has come to our attention. There is one person who is still on, whose term has not expired. I'm drawing a blank. It wasn't Dorothy. Oh wait, no, it was Dorothy Mock.
Yeah.
Hers does not expire until next year. And then there is one other person whose term had not expired, but I understand that she's moved out of town. So, we have, what was that lady's name? I didn't know her.
Oh, yeah.
Me either.
It was a divorce.
On the Board of Adjustment.
Yes.
um,
Well, we did find a list that had some more current listings, so, in the process of updating it. So looking at the Board of Adjustment, I think we should advertise for people who might be interested in serving on that. And to aid in the advertisement, I have a list of about 13 names of people I'm gonna call. And say, give this some consideration.
I apologize for my ignorance, but I'm not familiar with the Board of Adjustment.
Okay.
I'm not either.
It is, every community should have a council, a planning commission, and a board of appeals. In Leeds, we call it the Board of Adjustments. Well, we saw adjustment one place and adjustments another place, so we're not fully clear.
Okay.
But the last time it met was probably about 2 years ago. Alan, do you remember how long ago that was? I remember you gave a training to.
It's been a couple of years since the Board of Appeals has met.
Yeah.
And they function in a capacity of somebody doesn't like a decision that the council makes, they can appeal to that board.
Right.
Okay, right.
But they have 5 pieces of criteria that has to be met, not just 4 of them, all 5 have to be met to make the overturn.
Okay.
So it's not just easy, and it's costly. So the person has to pay a fee to have something heard.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat, Cedar City just recently had an advertisement of their Board of Appeals, and it was in reference to some business. And I clipped it out I have it somewhere in a pile, to use as an example. So when I find it, I will stick it with whatever else we have. We did find several rules, pamphlets, information on that that could be used in training.
How many members comprise this board?
5.
Aye.
Seems like when I first moved here, we only had 3 people on it. But the rules say 5.
Now, you're gonna advertise that. Now, is this a paying position?
No.
Oh, okay.
And during their term, they may never meet at all. But I think it would be appropriate to get people appointed to it and to get them trained, so that if something does come up,
Right.
that they are at least mentally somewhat prepared as to what it is.
Okay.
Okay, any other,
Would you like input or suggestions?
yes?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've already thought of Ron Pendick.
Yep,
What about Rick Carson?
that's somebody I didn't have. on
Rick
my
is
list.
a retired attorney.
That's right.
His function as a,
Supreme Court clerk.
yeah.
I'd forgotten about him even more. Okay. I had people like Jim Bray,
Right.
when you go through my list.
He's good.
He's a good thinker. I'd already thought of Dorothy Mock, but then I found out she's still on it. Penny Weston was on it, and her term had expired. She was just filling a short term.
What about Ben Gordon?
And Gordon, that's another thought I had forgotten about. Another lawyer.
Yeah.
That would be a real tough board.
Yeah. Right. Let's see. Who are some of the other people I thought of? Anyway, thank you for the input. If anybody else has another.
Then we only need to fill one of those positions. One of those, well, 4 of them are filled at this point.
We
No.
need 4.
We
Oh,
only have
we
one.
need 4. We only have one.
Right.
Is Martha Ham on your list?
Yes, she is.
Okay, that should be great.
And if she, I'm gonna ask her husband too.
Okay.
If
They're
she
not
does.
lawyers.
Huh?
They're not lawyers.
No, they're not lawyers. We don't want everybody to be a lawyer. We need somebody to bring some common sense to the table, right?
Any volunteers?
Okay, yes. Any other thoughts? We should prompt. Okay. Any other questions or comments about the Board of Adjustment? Okay. Moving on to the website updating. Looking at updating the design on it, and our website will be expiring in the September and October. We currently have not just leedstown.org, but we also have leedscity.org, should at some point in the future we be qualify as a city. Anybody have any thoughts on this or any comments at this point? I just wanted to.
No, it's just important to continue to renew those, because you
Yeah,
don't
keep
have
the
to
domain.
turn and have to buy it from somebody because they
Yes.
think of it.
I let mine expire. Well, my host left town when things went south. And I found out my domain name had expired. I tried to buy it back from GoDaddy. They want $13,000 for it. So I sat for a year and bought it back for $9.99 a month for 10 years.
Yeah.
So, or $9.99 a year for 10 years.
Right.
Okay.
So we're looking to do some, a website overhaul, or we're just talking about renewing a domain?
Renewing a domain.
Not just renewing the domain name, we're doing an overhaul, kind of updating the site.
Do we have a a person in mind to do this, or a company?
We actually already, have, Karen has designed one, and, do you recall what that website is? That they could look at?
Karen's,
Yeah,
It just,
I don't remember the name
she has already registered the name in the town of Leeds. It's owned by us now.
Well, she registered one, but it wouldn't give it to the town for.
Due to the circumstances that were happening at that time, she offered it to the town for her cost, and it was refused.
Are we set on using Karen for web design?
Take a look at the website, I'll email it to you.
Okay.
I have it in my head, but I can't seem to hold anything in my head very long, so.
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, in speaking, I haven't been on the website personally, but speaking on Karen, she's got it about 80% complete.
Yes.
Wow, okay.
There's a lot of information that isn't even on our current website that she's already gotten on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's quite detailed according to my conversation with Karen.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see it.
I think the difference in the name is that this one includes Leeds with Utah. It's not just Leeds town, it has Utah in there somewhere.
Leeds down Utah.
Okay, I think that's what it is. I don't know if there's an underscore or, always think there's
I haven't looked at
underscores.
a lot of the websites.
But anyway, we can look at that, and I just wanted you to be aware of it and be thinking if you had any suggestions. Like, for one thing, I'd like to see our budget on there so that it's readily accessible to people to look at.
Is that something that Bob can shoot us an email out to copy that website to everybody on council, Karen's website?
Yeah.
Just shoot us an email with the website address.
Okay.
I'll give us a chance, because I haven't been on it personally either. But I think, and I don't know who has been, Wayne, have you?
I did look at it briefly, but not very thoroughly. The one thing I would highlight, having just gone through the process of looking for a place to live 2 years ago and coming here to Leeds, the internet was a big part of it. Utilizing Utah is good, it'll keep everybody out of England when they're looking. But there are a lot of, I think, positive things that can be done with a website to just make it a lot more informative for the citizens and attractive to people who might be looking to move into the area.
So was she correct in telling me that she was about 80% complete on it?
That was the last I heard too.
Yeah, I did not check whether all the links were active, but it certainly was not an empty page. It had a lot of things, but I didn't click through to see what the links
How
were.
about you, Frank, have you seen it?
I have no idea.
Okay, so that'd be great that we just
I'll
get
get it to you.
a link to it, and then we can just link up and.
In an effort of openness, I wanted to make sure that, that everybody had a chance to think about it and look at it, so that's why I put it on discussion items, so at least we'd be aware of it. Any other thoughts or questions or comments on the website?
No, I think we'll just all look at it and maybe bring it up for a discussion item in our next meeting.
Okay, next item, used car lot.
So are we gonna bring this up for a discussion item on the website on our next meeting then?
If not the next meeting, then whenever.
After we all have a chance to
Very,
look at
very,
it.
very soon, whenever we have some more information. Everybody's noticed R&R Engineering, our one manufacturing company here in town, on Main Street. Just where Silver Reed comes in, that building. Well, one of the R's is Roger,
Waters.
is that how you say it, you think? Waters, there's 2 T's, I wasn't sure. And I went and met with him because he'd come into town hall with the complaint that he now had a used car lot next door to him. People were parking in his lot, and he had recently had over $1,000 motor. stolen from off of his loading dock, which is way at the back of the property. And it's been 2 years since he's had any kind of a theft at his property. He's also noticed a lot of people milling around and looking at these cars. There is no signage. There's been no business license applied for. And the cars that I got out and looked at didn't like have, how much they were or what year they were or anything on them. Eddie says that he could point to one car and say, that one's been here a month, that one's been here 2 days. There was another one that was here for a week and is gone. And since I went to see him last week, I've noticed that there's a whole lot more of them. They are located, where the pylon, the cement pylons are, and then there's been the cement slab. Well, they have kind of neatened it up. They look like there's in some semblance of order now. But then there's a whole lot of vehicles scattered around in the rest of the property. I'm not sure where to go from here on it. But I was wondering, I didn't even know who purchased but you sold that property, didn't you?
Not that property.
No, that property's not sold.
The property that I sold is adjacent to it, but it's just further north and encompasses that valley. I don't know who owns the property that.
Yeah, I know
People
who
parking.
owns it, but I don't know if it's in a court or not. It
Okay.
used to be a mobile, or what we call manufactured homes.
Okay.
And they had the house up on Silver Reef, the two of them that had the stairway to heaven and where
Mark and
Mark
Carol
is
live
bought,
now.
and the property behind his wife. And then he left and went to Mexico. And I don't know if anybody's taken that property over, whether in the settlement it's gone to somebody, but that property was owned by him.
Is it Mr. Gold?
No,
Okay. I inquired about, when we were looking at address changes, that flag lot with the house behind, the Osner Malleys, was just being rented, and they said the owner was Mrs. Gold, and I had a phone number, but I could never get anybody to answer the phone back then. But that name doesn't ring a bell with you,
no, his brother's a dentist, his brother's a chiropractor in town, and it's, starts with an H. Last name, I can't remember. But I'm sure the records would show who's the property owner for that.
Okay, so that's what we need to do, is research.
What is the current zoning?
Howard.
zoning of that?
It is
Howard.
Howard?
Mhm.
Alan Howard? No, a different Howard.
Yeah, it's a different Howard.
It's, you see the blue, the light blue along, all of that's commercial, that means commercial zone. And it is, in there,
So it is in commercial zoning?
no,
Well, Mark may know because he bought the property that the Howards owned, so whether that was through some other settlement or not.
he doesn't own the flag lot.
No, but I mean, they could find out because that,
Okay.
there's the lot next to to Mark's house
Mhm.
was owned by Howards, and that lot was owned by Howards.
Okay.
And his mother lived behind him in the other. How that all started, he did that as a showcase house for manufactured homes. So those three were manufactured homes were put on there, has the indoor swimming pool and all that. That was the idea, and then had his business down there. Then he moved into St. George, and then he left the country.
Okay. And that wasn't that long ago, because Mr. Waters said, that the first few years that he was there, that the, manufactured home situation was there, and it, was also a problem because people who came to look parked in his
Right.
parking
Do
lot.
we have a comment?
Have you
Yes,
guys ever looked on Washington County's interactive map?
will do,
Um,
be my next.
You can zoom in on a certain section in Washington County. You zoom in far enough, and you click on it, it'll tell you who the owner is.
Okay,
We could do that right now.
yes,
Angela, the owner of that property you're talking about is Larry Pilkey, who owns that property right now.
okay,
He acquired that from the banks. The banks took that over from Devon Howard.
That's his first name.
Larry Pilkey owns that.
is that?
He
yeah.
had been in earlier this year to petition for, or make application for a business license. I don't know whether that is followed through with or not.
Okay, so maybe we can find that in our business license file and get a phone number.
Do you know how?
Is that Pilke? Oh,
Pilkey.
Alan, I appreciate, you know how hard that was for my brain to think of that guy's last name? I took 2 F's from before I came. I'm gonna have to go out and get 2 more now.
Yeah.
You should have spoke up sooner. Thanks for making me suffer.
Listen, that's.
I got some.
What was his, Dwayne?
Devon.
Larry.
Larry.
Oh. What's his name? Who's on first?
Well, I guess the question in my mind is, so if there is in fact a car lot and a business operating, what recourse does the town have to say, hey, don't do that until you get a business license?
Yeah, we can. We shut him down and then you can deny him.
Well, shut them down through what means?
Well, among other things, I know that there are ordinances specifically saying how much parking they have to have and access. And, let's see, Mr. Waters reminded me that there in ordinances is, not decoration, landscaping.
The signage.
Right.
And signage.
That's-
AHA.
Yeah, that's what happens then when the council says no, and then they go to the board of adjustments and ask for an exception. And that's where that group comes in.
And I'm not one to necessarily say no, but just meet the regulations to apply for a business license.
Yeah. But I think there's something in the ordinance that you can find.
So it's,
I guess what I'm getting is, I tend to agree with Nate. I wouldn't want to just tell somebody, no, absolutely not. You
Yeah.
can't operate a car lot on Main Street. Because I think that the town should have a place designated where there could be a car lot. There's all kinds of businesses that I think the town ought to be promoting and bringing into our city or into our town.
Requirements.
Yeah, so I think if a letter was drafted to the effect of saying, hey, we've become aware that there's a car lot operating on your property that currently doesn't conform with the zoning, or there's been no building permit, or no business license, please come into town hall so we can talk about this.
Would it, could we shut down activity to speed up their progress on making that happen? So, I mean, because they're gonna continue to operate and drag their feet on coming in here to conform to get a business license unless we take action. Because at this point in time, there wasn't running a business without a license.
And do we have any proof that they're actually selling cars on that lot? Because there's nothing that says you can't park a bunch of cars on the property you own.
Yes,
There's a certain amount of vehicles.
Is
on
there?
there.
Well,
yes.
but I mean, a person can park a car on their property.
Well, I think before.
but 20 of them?
Are there that many?
No, there was like maybe 12 or 15.
Oh, I didn't know that many.
Let me make this comment. This is my suggestion. We're gonna open a can of worms. I think we really need to gather information and come back. Because we have some other people in town who sell cars frequently, but they only have one at a time. And so, once you start doing that and you meet with this person, and the other person's gonna say, well, they don't do that, and all of a sudden it's a domino effect, so we need to be prepared on how to handle this. We have other people doing businesses that don't have business license, so if we're gonna approach it, we ought to just do carte blanche, everybody in town.
Well, isn't there an ordinance in Leeds, and I haven't researched this, but I know in in most municipalities, you're allowed to sell, you have up to 1 or 2 vehicles, because there are people who do sideline hobbies,
Right.
New Harmony, Cedar City, wherever they're at. And they will park, you know, a car, or a
Right.
car and a truck, or a couple
Right.
cars on the property for sale, by owner. Yeah, and it's not a business, I mean, it's just more of a hobby, they'll fix them up and sell them.
Right.
And that, is there anywhere in our ordinance where there's a number, where it gets to that number, it becomes an issue?
It's not that, it's how the person's set up when they're selling the title of that car. I mean, then you know that they are a business versus an individual.
Mr. Waters was also saying that these cars are being brought in with tow trucks and dumped. So that may mean that some of them are non-functional too. Anyway, I just,
Or it
Well,
could
we
be
just
it's
all be
an
aware of
impound
that.
lot of some kind.
That's true.
well, we've already had one lawsuit over in the past, an auto auction. Because, well, it's partly because it was in the middle of a residential area, but also, the traffic that was affected and, so that, I mean, there were a lot of different issues. This one at least is on, commercial land, but, it is unregulated, there's no phone numbers, there's no, office, and it is affecting the neighboring business that's been here for a long time.
What state agency oversees car dealers? Anybody have any idea?
You're only allowed to sell a certain amount of cars.
Yeah, that's what I was
at a
getting at.
dealership.
It's
If
something
you're
like
allowed to sell 6,
6 cars a year
yeah, 6 a year.
before you have to have a dealer's license?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I was getting it, because a lot of people do it as a hobby, and they will,
Yeah.
they'll go down to the auction, and they'll pick up the car, and they'll tinker on it in their garage.
You
and
don't
they'll put it for
transfer,
sale.
transfer a certain amount of titles.
Yeah, and they'll put for sale sign in it, and for sale by owner, which, you know, parked in their driveway, which doesn't make it necessarily a business, but they'll do it several times a year.
Okay.
So as information is being gathered about this parties that are selling cars, I'd be curious to know if they have a dealer's license.
And it's the State Department of Motor Vehicles would have all that.
Is that, you guys are in the Division of Department of Commerce?
I believe it's the Department of Motor Vehicles that handles all that. I know they handle the licensing issue, because I've got some buddies that have licenses
Okay.
that go to the auction and
Yeah.
buy personal vehicles for their companies.
Sure.
Okay, so this is looking good, feel a little better, like I got some direction, for what we need to do from here. I think we do need to make contact with the owner and let him know there is a problem. Ask him for, to meet with us, or to at least come to town hall and, discuss the situation. And, see what we can find out from there. And Bob, do you think that you could research what state agency might oversee that?
Yeah.
So we can find out.
Probably the tax commission.
Yeah, the Department of Motor Vehicles has a link to the Utah State Tax Commission that are kind of combined.
Okay.
And they work together as an agency, basically for that reason.
Okay, maybe back to you on that. So, I think that's another.
That's why if you go down to register your vehicle in the tax commission, and the parking lot vehicles are side by side. A lot of times when I'm down there, I'm running next door to one, next door to take care of
Okay,
the other half of the problem.
we'll start a search for that.
Okay, any other thoughts on this for the timing? Okay. The next item is the planning commission report. Danielle's not here, it's still not quite 7 o'clock. Peter, you're on the planning commission. Could you give us a quick update on, no, you can't. On where things stand?
What are you looking
So-
for?
Huh?
What are you looking for?
Well, it's met at least once about zoning, the zoning map and.
The master road plan, that's what the zoning map was asked for. Because of the master road plan. So, we're just looking into that.
Okay. Well, I'll give, let's come back to that. Maybe Danielle will show up and she might have something else to say about it. The next thing is the Tree City USA and Arbor Day. Denise Allen has a death in the family, but Darren from Forest Service is here and he could give us a little information about it.
You want me to stand up, sit down?
Sure. Actually, if you come up to the mic, then it gets on the recorder and we can remember this later.
I don't know how many you guys heard about the Tree City USA program, familiar with it a little bit?
Yeah, we, late last fall, they came in and they gave us quite a presentation on it.
Okay, so I won't, bore you with a lot of the stuff you already know. The Tree City USA program is designed to help communities with their urban forestry needs. I don't know how many times you guys think about your city trees and, any ideas and visions you have on what you want your city to look, or your town to look like. And this is a program that helps give you direction, helps bring the community together in projects and as far as planting or developing parks. This program deals with city or town-owned property, trees, maintained trees. I know Leeds already has, so Antonio is hired and one of his duties is to maintain the trees. So this, like I said, this program helps give you guys direction, educates you, gives you some framework for action, brings the community together for like an Arbor Day celebration. As you guys know, there's 4 standards that must be met. I'm pretty sure they probably discussed those last time. The first one is a tree board or a department. You guys, you can accomplish that in different ways. The city council or the town council can act as that. You can have, say, a parks department, if you had a parks department, or a volunteer group. I know there's a couple individuals in the community that have expressed interest in the program. Denise Allen is one, Antonio is another. So, making a combination of volunteers and maybe a city council member, so they have the city or the town input. So it's however you guys want to organize it, whatever fits your needs as far as it functioning. The second is a tree care ordinance. You can make it as pretty simple as you would like. And I have sample ordinances you can use and look off of and create your own. Like I say, it's whatever the needs are. You don't need to make it too lengthy or too in detail, and you can always amend it later if an issue arises.
Is that on that Arbor Day Foundation website? Or?
A sample? No, I have those. I can email you all this information or bring it down to you. The third one is a budget of $2 per capita, and that's not saying that you have to have a budget line and always have money in there. Which is a good idea to do that though, but some communities can't budget out X amount of dollars, so they rely heavily on volunteer from the community. Volunteer hourly rates are like $20.85. So say you do an Eagle Scout project or your Arbor Day celebration, invite the community, those people that are participating, you can count each one of those volunteers hours or as a $20.85. So it really helps you out that way. But also in showing your expenditures for your budget, portion of salary for Antonio, You know, figure out, you know, a portion of his salary that's taking care of the trees, cost of watering your trees, maintaining your trees, purchase of trees, removing of trees. So if Leeds is already expending money on your urban tree care needs, you might as well get a benefit out of it. It's just a matter of tracking that and showing that you do expend or, you know, volunteer hours. And the fourth one's an Arbor Day observance or celebration. And this is a great opportunity to get the community involved, organize an Arbor Day celebration, invite the community, plant a tree or two, or if you only want to plant a tree, make it educational, hold a couple little workshops, you know, maybe a pruning workshop, a planting workshop. And that's, you know, where we can come in and help. We have state resources. We can invite people down. We can help you guys out. And then that's our role, is to assist you in this program. Any needs that you have, you know, we're there to help you through this process. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, through meeting these 4 standards, it gives you a direction on how you want your community to look, or how you want to maintain your trees, as far as planting and removing, or a certain project that you guys have in mind. You know, through the state, another big thing is through this program, it opens up doors for grant money. The state offers 2 grants. One's an Arbor Day grant, helps you hold an Arbor Day celebration for the first year. The second one, it's in the fall, and it's our Community Forestry Partnership Grant, and it's up to $8,000, and that's a cost share grant. But you can match your funds, or match the grant through all those same expenditures: volunteer, labor, or Antonio salary, purchase. So it's the same expenditures. It's in-kind match. You can match it in-kind. So there is some positive things that come from Tree City USA. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're already pretty much doing the things, the budget, it's just a matter of including the ordinance and doing an Arbor Day celebration. You might as well get a benefit out of this, being able to apply for grants. And another thing with this program, it gives you a national recognition. And, you know, talking about your website earlier, that's something you can put on that website if somebody's looking to say, looking for a place to move in Utah, or southern Utah, and they start looking through these and notice it's a Tree City USA community, and, you know, and all these take pride in their community. It's like I said, it's nationally well known throughout the United States. The Arbor Day Foundation sponsors this, along with the United States Forest Service and the State Forestry Department, which I work for, the State Forestry. So I don't know if there's any questions.
Yeah, I think, Darren, I've got 3 questions I want to ask you. So on the 8,000 that can be the match, what restrictions are on the 8,000?
As far as,
Like if we match 8,000 in kind, and the 8,000 we get.
it's like a $16,000 project, but the state would award you up to $8,000. The city on top of that,
Right.
so you show you've
Well,
matched
what
it.
would the restrictions be typically on something like that, if focused towards?
So the focus, like tree planting, tree maintenance. A lot of communities like to apply for these to do like a planting project. They apply for them to maybe do a management plan, which involves a tree inventory of your community, which, you know, they go through and they identify all the trees, species, location, hazards. And so it kind of gives you an idea of what you have, and so you can plan for what you want. So it leaves it open for, you know, the community. If there's say an insect problem that's killing trees, you know, you could apply for something to help, you know, come in and maybe a spray, or, you know, get people involved to help control that problem. It leaves it open for the community on whatever issue or whatever they have in mind that they want to do.
Because we have a lot of dead trees because the irrigation water that runs through some of the channels has been shut down, and now they're becoming a potential hazard, falling on the road or fire.
Yeah, so, you know, that's something that you know, a project you could, you know, propose. That you have these hazard trees, and that's another project, you know, hazard tree removal, and we want to remove these trees, and, you know, maybe design a project to do that.
And money that we expend on that
Yeah, matches.
With match, the state
Yes.
money.
Yeah.
And my last two questions, in referring to per capita that we pay the $2, is that each household or each individual that is employed?
So whatever the census says that Leeds town has here,
Okay.
whatever the population is,
Is that the 2010 or the 2011 update?
probably the current, the newest one, so. So I don't.
825 is what I got off of 5 counties.
How many?
825,
Yeah, so your budget would be
1650.
1650s, you know. Like I say, you know, you get a volunteer group out there, you know, put a project together, or, you know, I don't know what your expenditures are per year on tree care. If you start breaking out, you know, paying an employee, break out your water cost, maintenance costs.
So, who endorses to tell, there where Arbor City is in Nebraska, that town of Leeds has accomplished this to become a tree city? Do you guys have a
Yes.
verifier of that?
Yes. So I handed the mayor a packet before we started here, and inside that packet, there's an application. And it's pretty simple. You just go through that application and state your budget, what you've expended. You state, there's an Arbor Day proclamation that you sign saying we had an Arbor Day observance on this day. For the first year, you attach your tree ordinance, and then the fourth one, you just write down what your tree board consists of. And then every year after that, you have to recertify, but you don't have to include all that stuff. You just show that you still meet those standards. And I was mentioning to the mayor earlier, every spring, so it's coming up in April, we hold a Tree City USA Awards Luncheon, and that's where you come and get your award for that previous year. So every year you recertify, you get a sticker that goes on your sign, and it says 1 year, 2 years, 3, whatever, how many years you've been in the program, you just keep putting it on your sign, and they give you signs for your entryways into your community. People come into the communities, you know, Leeds has been participating in Tree City for 5 years. And there's opportunities within the program once you get into growth awards and add on there, so.
Okay, thank you very much.
You mentioned Arbor Day, the Arbor Day celebration. Now, is that the workshop you're talking about?
Yeah, so you can organize it however you'd like. If you want to go plant just a tree, you can do that. And you know, or some communities like to make it educational. If there's an interest in the community as far as maybe pruning trees, you know, you can do it that way.
Because don't they, by joining this, don't they allot us a certain amount of trees to plant?
They, like I said, there's
I'm going off memory from
Yeah.
last fall.
yeah, there's opportunities to get trees more easily, I should say. You can some communities they purchase seedling trees for the communities when they come. They take a tree home. So yeah, then that might be it right there. Yeah, like through us, our big things are offering those grants, but also assisting you in your tree needs and tree care. Yeah, the county, I know Iron County Extensions every spring, and Washington probably does it as well. They all, you know, the community can come and order seedling trees, you know.
For 50 cents or something.
Yeah, but, you know, that's like a giveaway for the community that come, you know, people that come like already celebration, they get to take something home and plant and stuff.
So at the one that you'd be holding in St. George, the 9th of
Mhm.
April, that there would be trees available there, or you'd have to order them ahead of
So,
time?
yeah, so this awards luncheon, there's no trees to be purchased there. It's more to recognize those communities that have been participating in the Tree City USA program. And so this one will cover from about Nephi South. So all the communities from Nephi South will be down here, like the mayors, city council, tree board members. And they come and, you know, we provide a lunch, give them their award for that year. And it's kind of just a nice celebration and give them their award. So that's what every spring, that's what that awards luncheon's for, to get your last year's award. But as far as like trees and stuff like that, the only opportunity we have for, you know, through us is to apply for those grants for trees. But there's other options, you know, the extension agencies have opportunities for you to purchase trees.
And those are red, those are big right now.
Yeah,
So, I think we go, there's an extension up in Cedar and St. George, and so, I think the Cedar one goes through, if I'm not mistaken, June.
yeah, probably. Yeah, you can purchase those ones.
Okay, great.
I'd just like to thank you for coming because you've been able to present some very useful information, I believe, and I greatly appreciate that you listened to other things we were speaking about before and related them to the material that you were sharing with us.
Yeah, no
So thank
problem.
you very much.
And I don't know, obviously you guys can discuss this program and see if it's something Leeds wants to participate in. Like I say, it's my job to assist you in that. There's citizens within the community that express interest that if that's the way you want to go and you want them to take the role in it, I can meet with them, we can do the paperwork and organize an Arbor Day celebration and stuff like that. So I don't know how you want me to just contact you directly to see what you guys decided?
No. We'll put it on the agenda as an action item
Okay,
at our next meeting, which is,
April 10th.
thank you.
okay.
Got my calendar out.
Did we ever approve it the last city
I was
council?
just gonna ask Alan if he recalled. Do you know if we ever approved it this last year? I know that it's been discussed more than once since I've been in office. I mean, on council.
We took no motion on it. We had a general consensus from the town council members that we were in favor of supporting this program. There's been no motion made to that. I think it's important that you attach a dollar figure to it. Just, it's more professional
No.
to budget the money for that program, and hopefully you can get service in kind to offset that.
If I'm not mistaken, we tabled it for that reason. We wanted to get the group together, balance the numbers, see where we sat. And then it just
Got lost.
kind of got lost in the shuffle. That was in the middle of one of our bigger issues we had last year.
When is Arbor Day officially?
So you can celebrate it any time of the year, but officially it's usually typically the last Friday, Saturday of April, depending on how you want to observe it. Some communities celebrate it in the fall, do a fall planting or something like that. I suggest if this process takes a little while and we get into the summer months, that if you're going to plant a tree, we do it in the fall. But if you're not going to plant a tree, we can hold an Arbor Day celebration anytime.
Don't want to do it in the middle of summer.
No, this is actually something that we could combine with our cowboy days.
Good point.
Yeah, well, and that's a great opportunity. If you already have something organized, you can, attach this to it.
Because the community's all together as a group, people aren't spread out, they know that each member will be there.
So it's just however you guys decide you want.
What, do you know the deadline for the grant through?
Yeah, so this year, if you're gonna apply to be Tree City USA, then next year, you have to show that you're a Tree City USA before you can apply for the $8,000 grant. So this year, you work towards achieving that status, and the application is due by December 1st to become Tree City. The grant is due, so say next year, is due in September. So, but there's other grants available. Tree Utah offers a grant and stuff like that.
I'm just thinking if we did the hazard tree thing, that would, a lot of the property owners would probably be willing to contribute something to, that would save them a lot.
And I can also check on if, say, you meet all the standards before September, if you qualify to apply for that this year. I can check on it.
Okay.
Great.
So with one of the criteria being having an Arbor Day celebration, didn't you say there was a spring grant towards doing?
Yes.
Do you think that money's already been,
So that grant, the
Divvied out.
deadlines was actually a couple weeks ago, but they extended it for some of the communities that are still trying to get in. I can check on when the latest they would accept that,
okay.
but they have a deadline dates they have to report. Our funding comes from the Forest Service, And so they have to report back on what funding they've expended and what they've granted out to these communities.
And that funding was only for your first Arbor Day?
Yeah, the Arbor Day grant's only for your first one, to kind of help you get into the program.
I see.
So it's not a huge amount, but it helps with the celebration.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, no, I've always thought it was really good. I think incorporating it with our Western days is, I don't know how anybody else feels about that, but.
So,
I'll just, a couple weeks or after your next meeting, I'll check back.
okay.
Will you let us know when that final deadline is?
Yes, I'll check on that information.
Would you please say your name into the mic, because I don't think I said it right.
It's Dan and Hewlett.
Oh.
It's fine.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Hewlett with 2 T's or one?
1 T. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Danielle, Peter, can I ask you a question? Doesn't look like you're gonna be able to show up at the city council. Is city council at 6 p.m.? Is that? Because every once in a while you're gonna have to come and present your findings or something. Is that an issue to you?
We messed up.
Well, during planting season, that's why I have a million things of dirt under. I just barely left that greenhouse like right now, but I did think it was at 7, but it would have been really hard to be here at 6. But
Well, I
That's
just,
just
I
me,
was
it's,
just, well, I was just looking at, because this is still a trial run. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at, because you've got young children. And,
do.
and if you're here at 7 and we go till 8:30 or 9, getting them home, getting them fed, getting them to bed, you know, winding them down, getting to bed at midnight yourself, and then rolling around again at 5 o'clock.
Is it legal to campaign?
Nate, planning commission's gonna talk about doing the same thing the town council is doing. It's gonna be on I've asked Bill to put it on our agenda, so we're gonna be trying to, we're gonna see how it goes, but we're gonna see if we can.
We're just kind of doing a trial run here, and you two both showed up at, you know.
We were late.
But I don't know if it's a problem
apologize.
because of your work schedule.
I
I
forgot.
understand Danielle's, but I don't know if it's a problem because of your work schedule or because of a miscommunication in
Yeah, I
there.
forgot. Just the force of habit.
Call that leading by
Force of
example.
habit. Not only that, but, you know, I got a note from Bill.
Bob.
Bob. And, yeah, the other
Bill didn't give you one.
The other Bill. And it said 6 o'clock, and I read it, and it just,
Yeah,
so.
it's okay,
Well, like I said,
So
it says,
Sorry.
Nate's afraid he's gonna lose, and so he's just.
no, I just want to make it, I want to make it
no, it's good.
as, like I said, if you guys are planning on doing the same thing, then you can see the reason behind it,
Yeah.
because you have your own personal reason behind it as well.
We do understand.
Before you came and we were discussing this, Wayne had a thought that sort of made sense, and that was, what daylight savings time, oh, we did?
But you can say Wayne, because that would make Bob confused
Right.
now.
Bill.
Yep.
Had the thought that bringing the consideration, I remember that you did discuss it, I remember you
Yeah.
talked.
It's okay. I mean, great ideas are spread among others.
He specifically, why don't you reiterate what you said about
And which
the
language?
hours and the night, you know, it being dark, I mean,
Oh, I just mentioned it because of people doing activities, that maybe when we have daylight savings time, we may not go to 6, that gives more time for people to do things they have to. We do have a community that's partly engaged in rural activities as well as other activities with their kids. And then in the wintertime, have it earlier because it gets dark and people are heading home and not doing things outside. So that was kind of the gist of it.
Well, we're hoping they get out early enough that by having it at 6, we'll go and have that barbecue by 7, Frank.
Frank, I think that's really confusing.
Oh, I do too, but that's why I brought it up.
And I'm being stupid here because I knew it was 6 o'clock and I'm never late and
Right.
I messed up.
You just won't work.
And you're just making it more difficult. you're gonna have this time.
Well, I think
I'm never gonna get it.
Arizona is very successful. The,
Yeah.
the reservations go on daylight savings time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And the state
Yeah.
does not go on daylight savings.
I didn't know the reservation.
So what it makes is, you can go to the reservation and meet somebody there at noon, and vice versa, they can come and meet you at noon when it's actually, you know, I won't go into that.
Sure.
do that.
See, you're confusing.
So now you can go to Arizona and actually have 2 meetings at noon
Right.
And not be able
within a town, like 20 minutes apart of
That's
each
right,
other.
and that's what we're thinking about doing for Leeds.
Okay.
Oh, do you think as a town we can opt out of daylight savings time?
Who's gonna stop us?
Okay. All right.
The state?
I apologize to get off subject, I just wanted to get a personal one, but we'd see if that was an issue.
Yeah.
We're gonna give it a trial run.
So next week, we are planning on meeting at 6 again, and then we will make a decision whether we're going to switch for timing or not.
You mean the
Next
week
meeting,
after,
April
week
10th.
after next?
Thank you, the next meeting that we meet, not next.
Now you got them really
Okay.
confused, because now you,
And you're not meeting at 6 next week, are
No,
you?
no,
Well,
we need
we're
some-
starting at 7.
Okay.
We haven't discussed it as a panel yet.
No. Going back to the Tree City USA, should we put that in the form of a resolution for the agenda next
Well,
meeting?
we'll have to make it as action item if we're gonna do a budget.
I think we need to put a budget together and put a board together before we make an action item to make sure that we've got all our pieces together before we actually take action and vote on it. Personally, don't you think?
No, I think we just go for it. We extend things from month to month, and it's just like, let's just do it.
Well, I'm all for it.
Let's just be bold, let's branch out,
If,
hug a tree.
if we don't say that we're going to do it, then all the other things won't fall into place.
It'll be like last time, like
Right.
drag on 6 months later and we're
That's
back at
right.
the beginning.
So do you want it as an action item next time?
Yeah, let's make it an action item.
Okay, we're going to take a step back. We skipped item D, which was Planning Commission report by Danielle Sterling.
I'm so sorry.
And if you don't have anything, that's all right, but I thought it would be appropriate if the rest of the council was filled in a little bit on what transpired.
Do you want me to get it back? Okay.
Where things stand now.
All right, Danielle Sterling, Planning Commission Chair. I went ahead and met with Sunrise Engineering, Russ at Sunrise Engineering. What he did is I went to the recorder's office to see if I could get a map that strictly only had dedicated roads on it and nothing else, so that we could start out with knowing exactly where we stand. Because I think at this point, with all the maps that we've had over the years, nobody really knows where is dedicated and what really isn't. And so Russ had told me that it would be an advantageous thing to kind of go and do the research myself. So I went to the recorder's office and I went to the GIS office, and they told me it would be quite extensive and pretty expensive if I went through them. So I called Russ, and he said that he would work with us, and he got a map within 20 minutes that had just dedicated roads on it. I made 7 copies, and I I had Bob go ahead and contact every single person on the planning commission, including the 3
Alternates?
not alternates, the committee
Zoning
members.
Zoning
Yeah.
committee.
And so they all got an email that they were to come and pick up their maps. And in doing this, my biggest goal is getting the facts down straight. Because I think for a long time we have a lot of opinions and we have a lot of great ideas, but we don't have the facts on what actually is dedicated, where these things go, and what are actually like driveways. And so what I'm anticipating is that in the next week, every council member will, and planning commission member, will have the opportunity to look. The ones that are dedicated have the names written on them. The ones that do not have names written on them are not dedicated, and I'll have one that has all the highlighted things, because he did send me a PDF file in it those are kind of hard to see on there, the ones that actually have the names written on them, but we only have a handful of dedicated roads. And I think that what we did is we met last Thursday at 12 o'clock, and we went over, number one, what map has actually been in our ordinances that was actually signed, written on. I do have a question. The map that is in our binder, originally the one says 2005 that it was voted on. And then there's another one that's in the binder that has actually been, and it's a little speculative because it actually has little tiny pieces of paper that are cut out, put over the 2005, and have another date with another, like, Scotch tape that has 2009? Is that what it said, Bob? I can't remember,
yeah.
2009? I would think that if it was an actual map that an engineering company did, I would think that we may want to revisit that map because that looks really fishy to have Scotch tape over changes. When I saw it, the whole reason that we had that whole entire meeting is I wanted to get down, number one, what is the true map that we have? What is the dedicated road map? What is the map that we have for our general plan? What is it that we're working with? Number two, I also wanted to see which ordinances were actually signed. There was an ordinance in that binder that says that it's an ordinance. It has never been signed. So I dog-eared that to make sure that we know that, you know, everything in that supposedly people use as fact, it never was signed. It was never put into an ordinance. Now the next one was, but it's in there, and it's a little, I want the facts. That's my whole point in being planning commission chair, is I want to get the facts straight. I want to know, I want to differentiate between opinion on rules and facts, on what we actually have passed and what is this town really have our ordinances with. As you can see on this map, there's quite a few different roads that are dedicated, and on the other map that we don't actually have anywhere, the road master plan, if you may, there's a lot of roads that literally were just marked in with a marker. When I talked to Russ, he said that the best scenario that we could do as a town is actually have an engineering company do the road master plan. He said, and I said to him, well, you know, the road master plan that we have right now was not done by an engineering company. It's literally somebody took a black Sharpie, if you may, and put wherever they wanted a road to go. And he said a lot of these, the hillside ordinances, there's no ordinances backing up why the roads are there. And that's what I want to tackle down, is because that master road plan that we have right now, there's no logical ordinance backing up why we can have the road there. And if push comes to shove, you know, you can put a road wherever you want with a Sharpie marker, but if you don't have the ordinance stating this is why and we can do this, then it's just speculative. And I don't want, as a planning commission chair, I don't want a developer to be able to come in here and say, well, this is on your master road plan. It's not done by an engineer. It's a very, for lack of a better term, it's just a very remedial map that someone thought might be a good idea. But unfortunately, what happens with the road master plan is they use it as facts, and it doesn't become speculative, it becomes the law. And I want to back up quite a bit. I want our planning commission chair and I want our committees to be able to look at this, look at the ordinances, and have the engineering company help us minimally, because he said if they did it, it would be a minimum of $12,000. I don't plan on spending anything for that matter. But I do want to be able to look at our road master plan, and as great as the people that made that road master plan put their time and energy into it, it doesn't have any ordinances that back where those roads are. And that's what I think we would like to do as a planning commission. And hopefully with everybody having the maps as facts of dedicated roads, we can start fresh. We can have bright eyes with it, and we can differentiate between, there's quite a few people that have called me concerned that that master road plan has a major thoroughfare through their driveway. It's not a dedicated road. It's not anything to do with, you know, just because you have a driveway doesn't mean a town can, in a sense, say, you know what, we're gonna use your driveway as that. We need to have our documents in a line. And that's, I hope, as a planning commission, we can do it professionally, and we can do it where we're actually gonna look at what really needs to be done, not what just looks good on paper, because there are two different scenarios with what looks good on paper and what really legally and professionally needs to be done. And Russ agreed that we need to kind of start at the beginning, so that's what we've done.
One thought that came to mind when we were just going over some stuff, what, for an example, would be the, on Silver Reef Road, the Osmer house and the house behind it, the flag lot. A question came up because whoever built the house owned both lots at one point.
Right.
They put this special brick type driveway in. And one driveway goes to the back flag lot, and the rest of it curves around to the other house. Well, the Osmers felt like they owned all of it. But the maps that I've seen indicate that the flag lot actually owns that portion of the driveway.
And the nice thing about these maps is that it
So
actually has,
it's not been resolved, that one.
really, the nice thing is it has parcels. You can look and it actually has individual parcels on here. And the key to this is if it's a dedicated road, it will actually have the parcel, an individual parcel for that dedicated road. And if that road is on that individual's parcel, then you can go to the planning, or you can go to the recorder's office and they can tell you who owns. Now, is it a dedicated road or is it just part of the parcel? Do you know?
Oh, and that one?
Yeah.
Probably, an easement or
It may just be an
just,
easement.
or just a,
The way it's drawn on the
But-
county records is it's a flag lot, so the house behind Mark and Carol they own the driveway. Mark and Carol don't actually own the driveway.
Yeah, that's.
But Mark and
basically
Carol
something.
probably have an easement to utilize it.
The beauty of it is being able to go to the recorder's office because they're they're wonderful there, and they'll give you any information you can. I've gone there quite a few times on a number of things, not just this. But they can give you answers within minutes. And they're very, very helpful to planning commissions for one thing, because that's, they want to be able to do what they can. And the gal that was there with this, she was just phenomenal on saying, you can go to the GIS office, but there's a lot of things that you can actually do with layers with, and they can PDF file it to your individual engineer, and from there, it saves us a lot of money. So, anyway, that's what we're doing.
Right?
The map that I, in trying to resolve that question, I went to was the one hanging in LDWA, which was prepared by the county for them. It's the only one that I've been able to find that actually shows lots on up-to-date houses that still exist, because that one is very old, 1983. Bob and I, looking around, did find this one, which has a more recent date. We taped it up there.
Wait, that one down there is 83?
That's what this sign.
No, it's not, because, I can tell you it's not, because all of our land is divided, and that has only been the last 8 years.
Okay.
So,
Well,
it
that was the
can't
only
be,
date I could find on it.
yeah, I don't, it can't be 83, because my house is on there, and it's only 4 years old. My house, 1 acre thing is there, so.
Okay, yeah.
But on this map, it does have individual parcel names. And if you do have problems with that kind of scenario, the best thing you can do is go to the recorder's office and get the actual description. And then you can't, there's nothing you can actually argue with a legal description. And from there, that's not the planning commission's job to say who owns it. They need to go to the recorder's office and kind of figure out that description, because legally the planning commission can't tell you who owns what.
Danielle, looking at this, then my understanding would be these are existing roads, but it doesn't mean that they're in yellow, that they're dedicated, is that correct?
Well, what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to, the recorder's office, and this is the fun part, is there's only like 30 plat map sections of Leeds. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my map, and this is what she, the lady, the recorder's office told me to do. Take this map with them, and I can go in there, and I'm going to have a key at the very, very bottom with every single recorded road will have a recorded number on it on the plat map. I wish I would have brought mine, because I actually did a plat of just our land. And what I'm planning on doing is every single dedicated road will have a number coordinated with it, with the recorded number as the key, and that way we will always have documentation of what's actually dedicated and what's not. There's a lot of easements, but those are not dedicated roads. Easements and dedicated roads are completely two different things. Easements, some people can use them, like utility easements, something like that, but it's not necessarily everyone a blanket clause easement. So I will have, I'm hoping next Tuesday I have time to go to the recorder's office, and she said that it will take probably maybe 30 minutes to an hour to just flip through the pages, get every single dedicated road. I think I counted like less than 30 roads in the whole entire town, so it's not going to take me that long. But what I can do is I'll give the map legend to Sunrise Engineering. He will have a little one, and I can even do it too, but we'll just have a one. We'll number every single road of what's dedicated and what's not.
Because I have an old file where Dave Harbor had the roads listed that he had given to the state that we get tax, funding on.
Right.
So we probably want to match that, because
That would be great.
there were some settlements made on some of these roads where they were existing roads where, like on Crocker, he bought
Uh-huh.
some parts of the road where, and some other people, so, and then it'd be interesting to see, because some people have property that goes out to the middle of the road. Be interesting to see if it's been recorded as a dedicated road,
Yeah.
and so they would need to know that the dedication's on top of their property.
Right, right. And I mean, I think knowledge is only good for everyone, because if you have the knowledge, then everybody feels equal. If you don't have the knowledge, that's when people feel like they're getting slighted. But if you have it in black and white and you say, this is what we know, if you have any other, changes, let us know, because we're not trying to do anything except get the facts out. And that's my whole, I guess, platform, is get the facts out to really what we need to do and where we need to go with it. I do know that, there may be non-dedicated roads that have like right-of-ways for, like for instance, I know that LDWA owns the road up to Silver Reef. Their plat actually shows that they own Silver Reef Road, but because it's been used forever, there's scenarios where we're gonna have to kind of work through that, but.
That's
I
true
don't
pretty
think-
much in that section on both sides.
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah,
Go
but it
on
would,
up to the middle of the road.
I think it would be a really good thing for everyone to know actually what's dedicated, what's not, and where we can go from there to make a really responsible master road plan, where we're not infringing on people's land, we're not infringing on emotions, we're just doing facts, and we're basing those facts on ordinances, not opinions, and I think that it'll be a good thing. I hope so. Anyway.
I definitely saw a few issues on there that didn't quite gel, so I'm sure there's a lot that I missed.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can, what we'll do is, as a planning commission, we'll make our recommendations. If you guys have any, anything you want to add, subtract, whatever, multiply, divide, we would be happy to work with that. But I do think that the basis of all of this is just to get the facts out there and the knowledge of what really is dedicated and what isn't. So, and then from there, all the planning commission members will have the opportunity to, write in based on ordinances where the roads, speculatively, of course, because we can't really call them as that, but anyway.
And they'll have widths and everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and the engineer, Russ, said that he would work. quite well, so, those maps actually are for the rest of the, planning commission, but if you do want us to get you more rest of it, he's not charging for these maps, and so that's
Yeah,
why I got
I
started.
know Blake and I need one because we're in charge of.
Yeah, and I'm meeting with Rick Stamps tomorrow, so is there any way I can keep one?
Yeah.
At least one set?
I
Yeah.
rolled this up for you, so that's 10 cents.
In addition, I double checked and
This will give me an.
I've got a copy
overview,
back
so-
there.
And this is, supposedly, this is the most accurate plan as of 2013 with the actual individual lots and everything, so you can see that.
I did have a question.
Yeah.
With the magnifying glass, would I be able to see the lots? Because,
Yeah, you can sell the lots on
See
that.
the white
white
lines?
Yeah.
All the white lines are each parcel, an individual
Okay.
parcel. And so,
You can actually
You-
see, you can actually see my house and horse trails, and
yeah,
you can probably even see little Shetland pony standing out there if you look close enough.
it's all the white lines, so
Okay.
and I think with magnifying glass, that might help a little bit better.
when I looked at it the other day in the office, I didn't have my glasses on this.
See the white lines?
I guess I was having trouble seeing it here in town.
I will email you the PDF file.
Okay. thank you.
Anybody that wants a PDF file, I'll email that to you. And then what you can do is when you open it, you can,
This section.
well, you can actually go up and you can rescale it to like 400% if you want. And then it would be quite large so you can see each individual parcel. The parcel numbers are not on it. If you wanted on it, it was an option, but I said I don't think anyone could read those, so. Anyway, but he does have that option, so anyway.
Ron Whitehead, the Public Works Director for the county, did say that he could work with us on getting some maps.
Oh.
But I'm
Wonderful.
not sure what his criteria, what information he needs ahead of time to
Right.
sort that one out.
And he's with whom?
Washington County Public Works, his office is downstairs in the county building there at Tabernacle and
That's where I went. Is that the GIS? That's not the GIS place?
GIS is
Is
on
it
the
across
other
from
side of the downstairs.
Oh, okay.
He is, when you go down the stairs, instead of going,
Huh.
you go left to GIS and right to.
And he doesn't charge, or he does? They
Well,
said it was like
when I-
$65 for the map and then plus their time, which was
Okay.
a lot.
When I asked him, he said he could slip one in for me. I wasn't sure what the payback on that would be. So.
The nice thing with
Or
using,
what we needed to do to get
Yeah.
him something that he could do that.
I think the nice thing with using the engineering company is the fact that they can work with us in different ways where, you know, if we just got a map here and I got a map there, we wouldn't be able to have all the layers in order. And so when we do, you know, need this to make changes on, we have that layer available for us. And I'm hoping that he can just put another layer on top of it, of the numbers, and the dedicated road parcel IDs and,
And where they start, and where they stop. and
Right.
so on.
right, so is there anything else that you would like us to do, or any other questions, or things you wouldn't want us to do?
Are you going to be meeting twice a month now?
We're gonna discuss that.
We have to first,
Discuss it with all of our
Okay, so
council members.
that will be on
It's
your
on our
agenda.
agenda, it should be on
It's
our
on our
agenda
agenda.
for our next meeting.
we're gonna try and be as proactive as we possibly can to make sure that we get things,
Go
In
the right
order.
direction.
yeah. So,
Rodney, I was wondering, you had volunteered for committee. I was wondering if you would be interested in working on this zoning committee.
I think you already was. Weren't you already involved with it?
Yeah, the zoning.
Rodney, what's your number again?
That's the trick. 879-8720.
And have you given him your email address, or do you have one?
I don't have.
Okay. Will you get his number too, and then he can have a map?
I
Then,
just got to call you tomorrow,
He's got
so.
one.
He's
Oh,
got-
you
he's
do?
got one.
Yeah.
Good, good.
That's a lot of, well, you know,
Perfect.
I don't have roads no more, but that's all right.
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
All right.
Danielle, do you want me now? Just that's your name on it.
I already took my map.
We could use about 3 or 4 more.
Oh, I can do that. I'll get them first thing tomorrow.
I'll take these off your table over here and put them out of your way.
And we could get one of those laminated. so that we can hang it up without tearing. Okay, thank you very much. Next thing on the agenda is the city limit signs. I know we've got one on the north and we've got one on the south. I can't remember if there's one on Oak Grove at the end of our city limit. There is, okay. Hadn't paid attention.
There used to be.
I don't think it's there currently.
I've
You
never
know?
seen one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's right before you go down in the dip.
It says you're.
I think so.
It seems like I've seen one. But Rodney at the last town council meeting brought up the aggregation of the people shooting out in Crocker's Land or Sands. And we do not have a city limit sign up there. And I think it would be appropriate to figure out where our city limit is out there, the town limit, and get a sign made. Yes?
It's on the map.
It's on the map, I just saw it, and it'd be really nice to have one.
I know, but the map is one thing, and then the place where you actually stick it is
I know, but if we,
making that
like
connection.
you were saying, as you go up off the freeway, from the freeway up, right there before the turn, after the turn, during the turn, probably before that, red house would be an excellent spot with the rest of those signs. Because it involved, it just give the impression that the whole side, more or less.
Okay,
city.
no, I can barely hear him. Do we need him to come up here to speak, or could you come up to the mic?
Yeah, if we had, I was just thinking, right as you come down underneath the freeway, going up, there's a series of signs there. If we had one there that said, this was the city limits.
It isn't the city limits, though.
It's part of the city.
It's
Well,
part of the city.
if you want to go to city limits, you're gonna have to go up. From what the map showed, it's like this. So you got Sam's land, some of Crosby's land, and then you got going up into Silver Reef up on top, where he lives. Sort of like that, sort of, I don't know why the city did
It's not
this.
in the city. This home is not.
Rodney's not?
No. Harry Crocker's house.
No, I know.
Is not in the city.
Right.
I know, and somewhere though, out there in the midst of that
I'm
land,
talking, yeah,
is
the,
is the end of what we've annexed into the
right,
town.
the Catholic cemeteries where
Right.
they set up their target shooting, and people right there.
Oh, at this,
Yeah, well, you can shoot everywhere, so why drive the extra mile, why not just set it right there and start shooting? And that's what I was concerned about, is they don't believe they're in the city.
I didn't hear you mention that part last time, so.
Yeah, they still believe they're in the county,
Yeah.
out past shooting. And I've had more than one time they were sitting there shooting.
So that's why I feel like having a sign out there delineating where the town limits are, and maybe a second sign saying, no discharge of firearms in town limits, would be appropriate out in
Right.
that
Right,
kind
because
of
if
no
it's
man's
getting
land.
that close, well, I live right next to Presbyterian Cemetery. If it's getting that close to mine, it's only gonna be a short time before it gets that much closer to yours, being up there on top. Because they are, there's no reason to go back in behind on these county lands if you can just stop right there by the road.
Maybe a third sign that says, use common sense.
And then someone will shoot it.
Yeah.
Well, you can have that before sign explaining common sense.
And have an ordinance for that.
Maybe we should adopt a gun ordinance though.
Hey, now.
Yeah.
Well, where
That
we
would be
live,
complicated.
Ralph just shoots back.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
A lot of places are requiring that.
I know, maybe we should.
It's part of the Constitution.
Mayor, the simple solution is at your discretion, you just have maintenance person put the signs out. It's not something we need to approve.
No, I know, I just wanted to discuss it, because in addition to that, that aspect of the issue, at the UDOT meeting last week, the one on Wednesday, I didn't make the Friday one, you all got letters to attend the Friday one. Did you take one? They had someone from the highway department who spoke about signage and responsibility and the workshops that were available. Got a whole list of all kinds of workshops that are available. And it made me aware that, you know, particularly on Silver Reef Road, which is very curvy, you're hard pressed to see where the center line is. And,
What's that?
yeah, I know. It really is there. If the light's just right, you can get this faint indication that there's, yeah. And we could wait another 2 years or whatever until something's done with Silver Reef Road. But in the meantime, if we do have an accident, there's a possibility that the town could be liable for not having a center line visible. I have been looking very carefully at the other signs that he mentioned. It was important to have your curves indicated. And it looks like we're probably okay on those signs, indicating, you know, those arrow signs that say following through the curve. And then I was wondering if there were some other areas in town where that might be a consideration, but I can't think of any. But I think we need to be aware of it, and I was hoping that that you and Nate might be able to give that some thought. And so, are we in good shape there? Do we need to make some changes?
Has anyone purchased any signs lately?
George
town?
got us some new stop signs.
And what did they cost?
He said they were cheap. That was another thing. I talked to,
I put some signs up for the government for Hurricane Mesa Test Facility, and they were almost $50 a sign.
I think George was paying
That's why I was asking.
$30 for the stop signs that he got, and we needed at least 2 because they were so bleached out. And I talked to Arthur LeBaron, engineer at Hurricane, and he said there's a variety of qualities that you can get. My guess is with the government facility, you were probably getting,
Oh, yeah, they're
Some-
laminated and
Really?
they're aluminum and, yeah, they're not.
really top notch, because he said that what they experienced is when they bought the cheaper signs, they faded out more quickly, the reflective aspects wear off, and,
My question, in ordering signs for city limit signs and no shooting signs up in that area, there are guys out there that don't use common sense. Do we need to spend extra money
on the common sense side.
on nice signs when there is a extremely good chance that over the next few years they're going to be shot up?
Are you putting up targets?
No, I'm just saying it's a very good possibility they're going to get shot.
Right.
So would it be better to spend the $25 to buy the cheaper signs now, replace them in 2 years, than spend $50 and replace them in 2 years? Because we do have a lot of tourists that travel up there and camp up there.
So I would say, if we're doing it for roadway markings, then we want to get a quality that will hold up. Out in the boonies there, we'll get what we can for as good a price as we can get.
And that's just something that we can just go ahead and, without the vote on, we'll just go ahead and have order up and one of our maintenance guys, so. Okay.
Actually, Antonio can even order, George ordered them. So, I think Antonio can take care of that for us. I just wanted I wanted us to discuss it, to be aware of our responsibilities there and get more brains thinking on.
Who'd you use, Star Sunday Banner?
We ordered them in Bradford, out of Bradford, Connecticut. And we ordered $1,600 worth of signs.
Yeah, Star Sign and Banner, just, they acknowledge
Yeah.
they're good friends of mine, they're running down in New Jersey. So,
That's probably where you got the
yeah.
stop signs. There's also several like when you're going Silver Reef, you cannot tell what the sign says at Silver Hills. Have you noticed that?
Right, it's totally faded out.
So if you're giving directions to your house, nobody can read the signs and know that they're supposed to turn there. And there's a couple of others around town that I've noticed that were bleached out. I don't know what the importance of doing those right away, but just so that we're aware that we need to be changing, putting up some more fresh signs.
So we'll just go ahead and you'll give that, and tell me we'll go ahead and order those signs and get them installed.
Okay. Now, help me think which signs we want him
The
to,
city limits,
no firing,
no
firearms,
fire,
no
how do we look?
discharge of firearms.
No discharge of firearms within city limits.
You're gonna need that at every main road or side road that comes into town.
Okay, I hadn't thought about, I was just thinking mostly about in boonies.
Well,
You think we
should-
need to
should-
do
you
it?
should- You should start at the main, on the main
I think,
entrances.
I think Nate and I can take care of this. I think we need to move on to other
Okay.
items.
All right,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
But we can have, for the time being, we can have, Tim will go ahead and take care of those in that one specific area, correct? Those two signs, city limits and no discharge of firearms. That'll put out a bid right now.
Yeah, because what we did in the past is, instead of us driving around, our maintenance people were to drive around and say, oh, here's a problem, and they would go ahead and say this was an issue and just order the sign, because, you know, we don't have to approve all these things, this is
No.
common sense.
Yeah.
Okay, but as far as those, put out in the bed, and then we could, you know, have Antonio, the maintenance guys, and the rest of them where they're at it. Okay, so we'll just get them to go ahead and do that. And the bed signs as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Might as well just get it done. Okay.
Okay, the next item is trash dumpster availability. In the past, we've had it twice a year. I talked with Brian, Antonio wasn't there that day, and he thought we'd only been getting it once a year. Do you recall?
Twice.
Twice, that's what I thought. I haven't looked up to see what it costs us, but Brian felt like it was important to keep the town clean. And
Yes.
so, I just wanted to run that by y'all and make sure that that's what we wanted to do, is to, we usually did it in the spring, that would mean this next month, and in October.
Yeah, I definitely think it's that's when everybody does their cleaning, cleans out their garages,
Okay.
and you don't want them. Stack them over by the recycle bins.
Okay, then, is, next on the agenda is staff reports.
I think you wanted
We want
announcements after.
announcements,
Thank you, thank
Easter
you.
egg hunt, Wild West Days,
Yeah.
and dance classes.
Okay. Under announcements, yes, Easter egg hunt is happening at the park at 10 a.m. this Saturday. Do we want to have Wild West Days? I was hoping to have a little bigger turnout to see what the town was interested in doing, because if it's going to happen, we need a committee to get itself together, and we need dates, and they need to be planning it. There'll be a letter in the trash bill, so I can address that, and that way it'll get out to people.
That's what we're gonna coordinate that with Arbor Day.
That and/or the Mayor's Walk, each town around is doing Mayor's Walk. Our month is October. And I was gonna look on that website and see which day it is. Oh, I may have it in my calendar. It's a Saturday, and I wondered, would that be, if there was a Wild West Days, would it be good to have it that particular Saturday because we'd have people coming? Or would it be terrible to have it on that Saturday because traffic would be horrendous? They've been having 400 to 600 people at the recent walks. January, February, March.
In small towns as well.
Well, Springdale was the last one, and that was the 600, and they were having their St. Patrick's Day celebration.
That's a little different
There was,
story.
That's a little
there was a lot of people.
Yeah, but
So I didn't bother going
Oh, it
to
was,
that one to see,
no, it was
I
fun.
figured
We
it
should
was
have
not-
gone. It was
not-
fun.
not be normal.
It was fun.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a blast.
Hurricane is
Yes,
doing
sir.
theirs next month, so I was gonna go and see that one,
team?
participate in it. Anyway,
That
you'd
good?
just be thinking about, if they do Wild West Days, if somebody pulls it together, would that be a good time to do it? Or would that be a bad time to do it? That's what I want you to think about.
No, Wild West Days, I think we need to incorporate more than we've been incorporating. I mean, we have a nice little festival in the park, but it kind of lags. I mean, I think the more you incorporate into Wild West Days and make it a full weekend, I think you're gonna get more out of it. I mean, because everybody goes up there, they have breakfast, they come back that afternoon for a park, for the activities, they stay for an hour or so, play the games, and fire truck shows up, you know, whatever. But the more we incorporate into the Wild West Days, I think the mayor's walk would be greatly incorporated along with.
I was trying to think where we could even park 100 cars, much less 400 in town, but,
Does it always have to be on the opening weekend of the deer hunt?
the Wild West Days,
Isn't it
No,
on the
it-
opening?
there is no set time. I mean, the first one was in October, last one, which didn't happen, which would have been the second one, was in September.
Mm.
So, that would be a consideration then.
We'll definitely change the date on that.
Okay. All right, moving on with announcements, the dance classes. It may still be a maybe. We did post our information on the door and there should be some, and then there's some flyers here. She thought she would be planning to start April 1st, next Monday, in other words. And they would be 4:15, and I guess the older ones are an hour later. And then do classes on Thursday also. And that would only be happening here in the town hall for this first quarter of the time. The Princess Pageant is May 4th. There are 12 girls who have gone through the initial stage. There is a DTAC meeting tomorrow in Laverton City Hall at 1:30. It is open to the public, if anybody wants to go. The Emergency Preparedness Committee, we do have one volunteer. I can't read her name. Mrs. Welch. Becky is what, it doesn't seem right. Becky Welch, I think. Got a letter from TDS Baja Broadband Cable. Does anybody use that service in town? We don't get it out wireless. I couldn't really tell if they were some like official cable service for the community or if it was just an ad.
What's that?
Presumptuous, I thought. We have received Diane Burton's resignation from the planning commission, so we do have an empty slot there again. And the recycle funds, solid waste management, has sent those out, and Leeds this year got $880. That money goes to the parks, to the park fund. And it is welcome. It was a lot lower than last year's, but I think the explanation wasn't this, I haven't compared the tonnage that we recycled, but there was quite a bit. But I think they've been getting paid less for the recycling.
Recycling money has gone down, the amount they pay.
Yeah.
has been reduced.
Like for instance, I noticed not just on ours, but every town was a minus on the glass recycling, meaning they don't have a buyer for it, and so it's costing them to collect it and then deal with it. So Wayne had the thought, everybody go dump theirs in some other towns. That was a joke. If you're a diehard recycler.
Why don't we build a plant and melt it down and sell
You know they make it out of sand.
you can turn it back into sand and recycle.
Okay, I think that's
That's it.
Oh, wait, let's see. Oh, and, let's see, do I read Roxanne's? Roxanne is requesting, Roxanne Lewis is running, chairman for the Princess pageant, and, she has some nice things to say. The girls are willing to use this experience to better themselves, and by doing so, bettering the community they live in. They are practicing their interviewing, their speaking, and their writing skills for the pageant. But they also need formal dress for that portion, and they're asking for people who might be willing to loan an appropriate dress for some of the participants for that 3-week period where they would be meeting them. And to let her know if someone has something to loan. And then they're also looking for sponsors to help defray the costs of the pageant.
Are you gonna put that in the newsletter?
Yes, yeah, that will go in the trash newsletter. Okay, that's announcements. Anybody else have any announcements?
I move that we adjourn.
I think we have citizen comments still.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Do we have any?
Yes. Mayor Roberts.
Mayor Roberts. Thank you.
I no longer hold the title, so it's just Al.
Right, sorry.
I debated on whether to speak on this, and I had to deal with some history on that website, because it's important that you understand some of the history so you can base your decision off from what is really there. Bear with me, my throat is just about gone. That's a website the town operated under back in 2006, 2007, 2008. This website was not registered underneath the town of Leeds. It was registered underneath an individual. This individual would turn that website or the domain over to the town if they were allowed to manage the website. The town council and mayor at that time refused to go along with that. So the town council and the mayor at that time approached another individual, Jeffrey Johnson. His parents lived down here on South Main. He agreed to put together a website, and the one that you see today is the one that was created by Jeremy, and that's why it comes up with a HS trial, I don't know, whatever. In 2011, this website that is now Leeds Town was not registered to the town of Leeds. It was registered to Jeffrey Johnson. That got changed in the fall of 2011. The town owns that domain. That domain is hosted. Now, when we talk about a domain, it's registered and it's hosted. Because this website still exists, this is hosted by a company called Blue Hosting, which redirects leedstown.org to that website of what you see. This has always been managed since the time that this individual left. This has been managed by staff in the office. Many, many hours have been spent on that. Unjustified hours. I can tell you what portion I was in there, it's unjustified hours. So that privilege, or I shouldn't say privilege, but that task was taken away from the staff at that time. That website is in desperate need of an overhaul. As Mayor Rohr mentioned, there's another website,
Leeds, town, Utah.
right there, that's owned by the town. I assume it's owned by the town. It shows that it's registered by the town. You guys are gonna have to decide. But one of the issues with this website right here, before the town owned it, the town was using emails. That's what everybody in the town, as elected officials and paid employees, that's where it makes no sense to tie that website to an official town name. Through this Blue Hosting right here, you have infinite emails that you can go that are attached to Leeds Town. The hosting company that deals with this right now is the same hosting company that deals with that one. That allowed 4 emails, and you could purchase more for whatever that cost was. Nowadays, when it comes to hosting, any hosting company out there allows bazillion, because you can go to Gmails and get bazillions. It's important that you understand where this is at. If you elect to go with this website, which there's nothing wrong with the website, I've seen it. Somehow you got to attach your emails to this, one or the other, because there's no sense in paying both hosting companies to host both of those.
So, the Leestown, Utah is not hosted by Bluehost?
No,
Okay.
it's hosted by the same one that this Jeffrey Johnson is hosted by. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions of that? And as such, each of you as council people, I think, should have, at this point, a leedstown.org email address. It is available to you, and it can be set up so that all of your official responses to people go that way, and that would preclude some of the problems that have come up with business things being on somebody's email responses. So I'd like for you to each consider doing that.
Can that just be set up? And
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just
I'd be happy to use it. Somebody will just give me an email address.
Nate Blake at, what is it?
Leedstown.org.
Nate Blake at leedstown.org, Bill Allen at leedstown.org.
And
Who sets that up? I mean, I've got
Alan, did
several
you do that?
email addresses.
Bob?
Submit those to Bob.
Okay,
Bob, can you go ahead and set that up for us?
Sure.
Great.
So, and that's where we would
What
send
protection-
your,
What protections on
like, what?
that? I mean, what protection?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What protection is on that email? I mean, can anybody,
I'm sorry.
It would be password protected, I would assume.
Yeah.
It has real tight protection on it
okay.
through the hosting company.
Okay, so, do we have any staff reports at this time? Okay, I do have, one question that's come up, I've gotten a couple of calls on this, and that's that the, Peach Pit Pavilion lights are often staying on all night long. You know, somebody told me kids go there to play and do things, turn on the lights, and then they're left on all night. Has anybody had anyone say anything to them about it? It probably affects our electric bill some, so I'm gonna ask, Antonio, unless anyone has any other ideas, to see about getting a timer for it or a lockbox, although that would be difficult.
But I know the kids go up there and play, especially when summertime comes around, and during spring break, they go up and play, and this is all the children, go up there and play night games. And so putting it on a timer, you know, to go up to midnight or something, I don't think would be unrealistic, but to have them shut off at 10 or 10:30.
I seem to remember that several years ago, didn't we put a timer on like the volleyball court lights, or, does that sound familiar? So we could do something similar.
One type of timer that might work, having had previous experience with schools with this, is it can be turned on for a certain number of hours. It relies on the fact that if people want more than the maximum that you set, they have to remember to turn it on again. But it prevents them from forgetting to turn it off when they go home. They could, which would be helpful, but if they didn't, it would time itself out.
That's a great idea, 60-minute timer,
I think that's what we have on the volleyball court one then.
a 60-minute timer, and if it goes out, they turn it back on for 60 minutes. If they go home and it runs out for another 30 minutes, it's not going to kill us all night.
Right.
So at this time, we want to go into a closed meeting. So, we'll have a 5-minute break. We need a motion,
Yeah, we need a motion.
for going into a closed meeting.
I motion that we adjourn.
No.
Don't we have to adjourn first?
No.
Okay, I motion that we go into a closed meeting.
Second?
Second.
You have to say why, like,
Alright.
professional competency.
Okay. For the reason of legal pending litigation.
I adjourn that we go into a closed meeting for the reason of pending
Or imminent?
or imminent litigation.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.